Okay, we are recording on the ZV-E1 with the 24mm f2.8 lens, and yeah, we are on the Cine profile BP11. So yeah, I was just thinking about the 11mm, I think it's a f1.4 lens or f1.8. Not sure, I'll correct that, but a lot of people want to buy that lens for this camera, and the basic idea is that you buy that lens and then you put it on active stabilization, not dynamic active, on active stabilization, and you crop in. You use the clear image zoom to crop in, so you can crop past the vignetting and then you sort of get a picture. And I don't know, I haven't really been able to convince myself to actually take out the money and buy that lens. So here's my argument. What's the reason for buying that specific lens? That specific lens is that the reason a lot of people want to buy it is because the dynamic active crops in. But with a dynamic active, you still get that vignetting corners. So the workaround is to use active stabilization and use clear image zoom. But then you might as well, the whole point is for dynamic active stabilization. That's why people want to do that. So if you're not using dynamic active image stabilization and you're only using active image stabilization, you lose a lot of the value that you get with this camera. And you're only using a small part of a 12 megapixel lens, so you're not going to get the greatest of 4K quality. So you're you're paying a lot of money for this body, and you're not actually using the features for it. So wouldn't it be easier to then, if you want to use that lens, rather buy like a ZV-E10, and then, which is a 24 megapixel sensor, and it's already APS-C, so it'll work perfect on that body. It has active image stabilization. It doesn't have pixel binning, so you're going to get a very sharp 4K image. The only thing it doesn't have is it doesn't have 4K 60, and it only has 8-bit. But if you're recording a profile like this, you don't really need 10-bit, because this is basically a profile that you use to publish in. So 8-bit is kind of good enough. So yeah, I'm just trying to wrap my head around why people want to use specifically the 11mm on this camera and then throw half the features away and spend so much money on this camera. Because why you want to get this camera is for the dynamic active stabilization and the portability. The ZV-E10 gives you the portability. It's actually more portable because it's thinner and it's lighter, so it's actually more portable. So I just don't know why you want to pay so much money and then not use most of the best features. The other thing you can also keep in mind is if you buy that lens for portability, then what you do throw away when you buy that lens is you can't take photos. Because if you take photos, you're not going to crop in, you don't use clear image zoom, you use the full sensor, so you're obviously going to have the vignetting, so you're going to have to crop your photos in afterwards. So you're not going to get good quality photos because you're cropping in on a 12 megapixel sensor. Whereas if you use the ZV-E10, you get 24 megapixels, and that's quality, and you basically don't have to crop in. That's the picture you get without any vignetting. And the other thing is also, if you buy the ZV-E10, I think it's got a mechanical shutter. I don't really see the point in buying that lens. I would much rather buy the 14mm f1.8. Well, I already bought it. It is a bit more money. I think it's about double the price. But you get so much more bang for your buck, because now you can actually use dynamic active and you can use it for photos, and it's not as zoomed out as the 11mm, because using 11mm for photos on a full frame It's very zoomed out. Okay, you're obviously going to crop away the vignetting, but now you kind of you can use a full sensor. It's so much more reliable, it's so much more usable. So I would rather, if you're going to buy this body, rather just put in that little bit of extra and just buy the 14mm, because it's a full frame lens. You could use all the features in this camera that you actually want to use, instead of trying to sort of skimp and save a little bit of money, but then you lose a lot of money from the body that you're using. So yeah, just drop a comment in the bottom if there's another reason why you would actually use the 11mm lens on this body, because I can't convince myself to buy that lens. There's just not enough motivation for me to buy it. But yeah, if you like this video, then remember to press the button. If you want to see more, remember to subscribe. Until next time, this is Steve. Ciao.